Hi guys, it's Nancy Lynn from Sew Euphoria. This is another hashtag Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. This is prompt 8, 9, one of those. This is for my red book, and with this one I chose to do a cardinal. Always reminds me of my grandma Osborne. She loved cardinals. It was her thing. You know, and cardinals have different things to them. Some people say when a cardinal comes to visit you, one of your loved ones is there. So on this one, what I did was I had crocheted a little doily, and I hadn't used it on anything, and I thought that would be good for this corner. I did a little cluster of fabric here and sewed on a little button. The bird is out of wool felt. I just need to put a black bead on for the eye, and that is one of the last things I need to do on this one. I used some wool felt for the limbs, and then I went around and embroidered using a straight stitch on there. I did do a little detailing on the wings and on the tail, and I used a straight stitch around to attach everything, and I used a blanket stitch on the limbs, and then on the little offshoots, the little greenery, I used a variegated thread on that one. And so that's that one. And I didn't film any of this, so that's that one. But let's see if I can get all this out of here. This is my green one, and I've cut everything out, and I thought, you know, I need to get rid of that piece. And what I'm doing is I've cut out wool felt, and I cut out my leaves and a piece for the branch or branches. I don't know what I'm going to do on it yet. And so all of those are the leaves, and I'm hoping I'm in camera. And I'm going to do a partridge and the pear tree. So I've got the partridge. I have his little feet here. I guess I can take those off now. Here. And the little partridge. And I think on him, it's, or her, whatever this partridge is, the stitching is going to make, you know, it kind of come to life. And I wasn't going to do like a full pear tree, so I have this, and I may just embroider some shoots off of this, and then I have his little feet, or her little feet, to go on here. And I figured just as a symbol I would put a pear on here. Actually, it goes this way. I extended the leaf out to be able to hook on to the back of it, and so I wouldn't have trouble sewing it. Now I do need to verify that I'm going to stop here with my stitching. I think that may have been folded under and not counted in the size of my piece. And so that's going to be, I think I'm going to tilt it a little bit more. Now the beak I am going to embroider on. I could get much smaller feet with and I might kind of dangle, maybe like he's trying to get a little taste. You know what, I am going to use that extension because that's a little close. And that'll let me bring this one in just a little bit more. Now I probably will trim a little bit off of each one of these feet because I kind of overcut them until I knew. So all I'm doing is, you know, I hadn't worked with wool felt, and I've just recently started using it, and oh God, I just love it. It's You know, you're not worried about pieces unraveling. It's easy to stitch through if you use real wool felt. Now, if you use something that's not wool felt, then it can be a little bit tougher to needle through. Because I have a few things. These two are actually articles of clothing. This was a piece that I had gotten from a friend of mine a long time ago. This came from a kit that I had gotten. Now this is the only piece on here. They say it's wool felt, but to me it doesn't feel like it's got a rougher plasticky backing kind of on it. So, but that's going to be it. And then with the leaves, where'd my leaves go? I cut a bunch of them, but I know I won't be using all of them. And all the leaves are cut out of that other piece, and like I said, it just has a slicker back to it. It is not, I kind of like it going that way. Maybe one over. Might do a couple of leaves over the bird. Or under. Okay, and now that I have all that, that's kind of where I'm going with this. You know, it changes when you're going through it. I have some embroidery threads out that I might use. I might use that one on the pear. And that one's a 301 in DMC. And let's see, let's move this little puppy because I don't need it. And then I have my big bag of perlite cotton, and that's really my favorite to work with. As long as you have the right needle for it, it works really good. And so we're going to try, that might be for the leaves. It's a pretty color and it'll brighten it up some. Maybe the brown for that. Now here comes my problem. Is that green or is that blue? Y'all are probably saying, Nancy, it's blue. I think it's blue. I have another green. That's a lighter green, so I might use, see, now I know that's teal. And I did find my silk ribbon. It was in this bag for safekeepings. Of course, it's always in that one spot that you put away for safekeepings. But I really want the stitching to be a contrast with this. So I'm thinking I might use, oh, that's a real thin one, some white on that. And maybe I'll use that dark color on his little, is that a plume on the top of their head? I'm not sure what it's called. And then the beak, I'm going to extend out with stitches. So I still need to come. Maybe if I bring this down. Yeah, that'll work. So that's what I'm looking at, is using all of these different, now I've got the color for here, which will go around. I may still come in and do some pretty stitching on it. I'll just have to wait and see. Now that's another green that I have, but I don't like that green. And I could use this yellow to stitch that down. This is an off-white. Oops, but it's stuck in here. It's the only problem with keeping them in a bag is sometimes your ends get tangled up. I may use my off-white so that the stitching shows off on here. Oh, and black. I need black. And that's a dark brown blackie. I have plenty of it. So, all right, so those are all of the colors that we're maybe gonna look at using for this. I had put some regular thread out here too, because I might go around the edges like with this color. I like because it really kind of fades in, and that might be good to put my branch on just to bring it some other colors. And that's a real fine thread. That's a So Complete. Is that Superior Threads? Yeah. And then I have an off-white, and that's a Gutermann. And then I have a Coates and Clark. You can see I'm not brand specific. I go back and forth. And then I have, of course, my handy dandy little pin cushion that my friend Ann gave me. So it's a treasure. And then the needle that I'm going to pretty well use. And this one, it's an embroidery needle. It's a sharp, maybe an 11 or a 10. Sometimes the threads go through it fairly easily because it's got a decent size head, but it's also thin all the way up. So if I decide at 1 minute like to put a bead on, I can still use this one to usually run most seed beads through. But that's what we're going to do with this. And now I'm just going to start from the bottom back. So I'm going to take the leaves off. Going to leave the branch on where it needs to be. So I need a couple of pins to pin that down. And we'll remove his feet and all of that. And so that's the first thing that we're going to sew down is that. I'm still deciding on what I have. No. This might be the one that I use, and I can always go back in with some off-white to lighten it up a little, but it's going to have a lot going on in this small piece, so you don't want it to be. I've been using this as brown. I'm hoping it's brown. For those of you who are first time tuning in, I am legally blind, but I usually can see really well color-wise, which is surprising because I shouldn't. But I have cataracts, and the cataracts now are just driving me crazy. So, but November 23rd, woo, woo, I get to go and get my measurements. And I didn't do a sit-down video before this because unfortunately I had a blood blister that bursted in my eye. Didn't even know it. Didn't hurt. And I have to get up real close to see in the mirror, and I wear glasses, so really I couldn't see my eye, but I was out and my brother said to me in the front yard, and my brother happened, he just came by, he was dropping my husband off, and he said, "What's wrong with your eye?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "It's all red." I said, "Oh." I said, "Well, I'll have to go look at it." I said, "But don't hurt." I would never have known anything was wrong with it, I guess, if he hadn't said. Well, I'm sure Johnny would have noticed it eventually, But they say nothing you can do about it, just go on. Now what I'm going to do here is a blanket stitch. And I know some of you guys are probably hollering, you need to iron that piece of fabric. And I will. I like to do it at the end. And I'm just doing a little tiny little blanket stitch, just barely catching any of this. And I do my blanket stitch a little different. I wrap around. Some people put it up first. I just like to wrap it around. And I'm just guesstimating at how far the distance is between. I've seen some people put a little mark on their thumb, like a little measurement line, like this, do that, and that's probably great. I mean, I have a little Sharpie that I could do that with, but I'm just used to going for it. Does it always work? No, but to me that's the beauty of handwork, is a machine could do it perfectly every time. But I'm not a machine. I'm a human. And I like the human factor in it. So this is, we have one more prompt this month. And then I guess we have, I'm not sure if we have 2 next month or not. But if you guys want to see all of it, go to Rachel and Sarah's channel. They're looking at my description box, and there's an attachment there to get to their channels. They are the ones who created this. I don't know if you call it a collaboration, but it's just a bi-monthly block, and everybody, you get prompts, and everybody, it's all slow stitching, and everybody is doing something different. And we have a little Facebook channel where everybody shares all their little pages, and they are just beautiful, just such beautiful work out there. And they take time, and yeah, and I know some people probably go, well, why are you doing this? You know, it takes so much time, but it's for the love of stitching that we do it. It's because we love stitching. Stitching's calming. It's pleasant. It's kind of meditative when you get going. Now, I'm not going to stitch this whole thing down, but I just wanted you to get a feeling for what I was doing. And today is November 8th, which in the United States is our election day for midterms. And already there's been shenanigans. So I don't know what's going to happen. I know in Arizona they're having a lot of trouble with their ballots already. So we will see what happens. Yeah, I mean, with this stitch you can come up through and then catch it this way, but a lot of times it tangles on me when I do that. I don't know if it's just my hand movements or what it is, but I do have trouble with it tangling. So I have come down to, this is the way I do it. Oh, that was a tough piece. Now normally I would put a piece of, I always put some batting behind my pieces, only because the stitching, a lot of times you have to keep going, pulling it back. If you have the batting behind it, it doesn't pull up on your stitches, and it leaves it a little flatter. But also, where I'm working with this brown, sometimes it does beading when you have the batting behind you. Bearding, not beading, bearding. And what that means is when you pull through the needle, it pulls up some of the batting through. And on lighter colors, it's not so bad, but if you've got darker colors, and you're going to be picking and cutting some of the fuzz out, unless that's the effect that you want and you like the fuzzing, then it's not everybody's the same. But this is all I'm doing, is just going through, and then the next pieces I will put on is his two little feet. I think I don't want to lose those. On here, I might do my stitching on both of these, so that way I'm not pulling through 1, 2, 3, and if I put the other behind it, that'll be 4. And so I'm not working through, and that's just an individual choice as to when you put that on there. Some people like to hold it off till the end. I am going to finish working this around, and then I'll iron it when I'm off, hopefully. And so the next time you see me, I will have put the decorative stitches on this, and going from there. There are loads of great patterns and stuff out there. I just kind of flipped through Pinterest and kind of got an idea of what a quail looks like, and went to town after that, cutting out my fabric. So I hope you guys are all great. Thank you to my new subbies. Welcome. My channel is got several different things. I haven't done a lot of journaling lately. I've been much more slow stitching. It's getting a little cooler, so I may even start doing some of my encaustic work back up. Really kind of thinking about that. I haven't used it in a while. And sometimes just regular sewing. So it's all a little bit of a variable as to what's gonna be shown. But I do try to always put, if you're just watching it for Roxy's hashtag Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, I always try to put that in a separate folder so that they're always, and I always try to tag them as Roxy's hashtag Journal of Stitchery so that it doesn't get mixed up with my other stuff. But I hope that you'll join us on some of the other stuff. For now, this is Nancy Lynn saying bye, and hope you have a wonderful day. And